the rock community woke up to a silence that felt unfamiliar and heavy. On February 7th, 2026, the voice that once filled radios, arenas, and late-night drives quietly faded away. Brad Arnold, the lead singer and founding force behind Three Doors Down, passed away at the age of 47, leaving behind a legacy far greater than chart positions or album sales. For many fans, it wasn't just the loss of an artist, but the loss of a voice that had been part of their lives for decades. His songs had a way of showing up during important moments, whether people realized it or not. The news spread quickly and disbelief followed just as fast. It felt impossible that someone whose music still sounded so alive could be gone. Yet here we were, remembering not only how he left, but everything he gave. A voice everyone knew, even if they didn't know his name. If you grew up in the late 1990s or early 2000s, Brad Arnold's voice was impossible to escape. Even those who couldn't name the band instantly recognized the sound. Three Doors Down weren't just successful, they were familiar. Their songs played in cars, classrooms, sports arenas, and living rooms across the world. Brad's voice carried a grounded, everyday honesty that made people feel understood. He didn't sound distant or untouchable. He sounded like someone you knew. That connection turned casual listeners into lifelong fans. Three Doors Down became the band people turned to during breakups, deployments, road trips, and quiet moments of reflection. Brad wasn't chasing trends or trying to reinvent rock music. He was simply telling stories that felt real, and that authenticity is why his voice stayed with people long after the songs ended. Facing the hardest chapter with openness. In May of 2025, Brad Arnold shared news that changed everything. He revealed that he had been diagnosed with advanced kidney cancer, a moment that immediately reshaped how fans saw his future. At just 46 years old, with a family and a lifelong career behind him, he was suddenly forced to confront his own mortality. Instead of disappearing from the public eye, Brad chose honesty. He spoke openly, not to seek sympathy, but to stay connected with the people who had supported him for decades. There was no dramatization, no false optimism, just truth, delivered with calm strength. That choice resonated deeply with fans, many of whom were facing struggles of their own. Brad showed that vulnerability wasn't weakness, it was courage. And even in the hardest chapter of his life, he remained the same steady presence people had always trusted. Where the story truly began to understand what Brad Arnold meant to the world, you have to go back to Escatawpa, Mississippi, in the mid-1990s. It wasn't a city known for producing rock stars. It was a small town where dreams usually stayed small. Brad was just a teenager with a love for music and a desire to create something meaningful. Alongside friends Matt Roberts and Todd Harrell, he formed Three Doors Down in 1996. In the beginning, Brad wasn't even just the singer, he played drums while singing, doing whatever it took to keep the band moving forward. There was no guarantee of success, no industry backing, just belief and persistence. They played wherever they could, building a local following slowly and honestly. It was the kind of start that shaped Brad's humility even after fame arrived. A song written in math class that changed everything. One of the most remarkable parts of Brad Arnold's story is how simply it began. At just 15 years old, sitting in a high school math class, Brad wrote the lyrics to what would later become Kryptonite. It wasn't written with charts or fame in mind. It was an expression of insecurity, strength, and contradiction, emotions most teenagers feel but rarely articulate. Years later, that same song would explode onto rock radio and become one of the defining anthems of the era. When The Better Life was released in 2000, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Kryptonite dominated airwaves, and the album went on to sell millions of copies worldwide. For a band from a small Mississippi town, it was a life-changing moment. And it all started with a notebook in a classroom. Proving they were more than one hit, success can be fleeting, especially in rock music, but Three Doors Down proved they were built to last. After the massive impact of their debut album, the band continued to evolve without losing their identity. Songs like Loser and Duck and Run showed depth and confidence, while their second album, Away from the Sun, revealed a more emotional side. Tracks like When I'm Gone, and especially Here Without You, connected with listeners on a deeply personal level. That song, in particular, became a soundtrack for long-distance relationships, military deployments, and moments of loss. Brad's voice carried genuine emotion, never forced or exaggerated. When he sang about longing or pain, people believed him. That sincerity turned songs into memories and albums into chapters of people's lives. Success without forgetting where he came from. Over the years, Three Doors Down released 6 studio albums and sold more than 30 million records worldwide. They toured relentlessly, performing in arenas and festivals across the globe. Yet, despite that success, Brad Arnold never lost his connection to where he came from. He represented the idea that greatness doesn't require a famous zip code. You didn't have to be from New York, Los Angeles, or Nashville to matter. Brad came from a town of about 14,000 people, and his success reminded fans that ordinary beginnings can lead to extraordinary outcomes. He remained approachable, grounded, and deeply appreciative of the people who supported him. That humility made his success feel shared, as if everyone who believed in the band from the beginning had taken the journey alongside him. Music that served more than entertainment, Brad Arnold believed music was meant to do more than entertain. Throughout his career, he and Three Doors Down consistently supported military veterans, first responders, and their families. The band performed for troops overseas and took part in numerous benefit concerts, understanding that music could offer comfort when words failed. Brad spoke often about gratitude, service, and connection, values that showed through both his actions and his lyrics. Songs like It's Not My Time became sources of strength for people facing uncertainty, illness, or personal battles. His music didn't promise easy answers, but it offered reassurance that listeners weren't alone. That sense of shared humanity became one of his most powerful contributions. Long after the applause faded, the impact of those moments continued in the lives of those who heard him. A legacy that lives beyond time. At 47 years old, Brad Arnold left far too soon. There were supposed to be more albums, more tours, more nights on stage. But while time was cut short, his influence was not. The true gift he left behind is a catalogue of music that continues to live, breathe, and connect people. Every time Kryptonite plays on the radio, his voice returns. Every time Here Without You plays at a wedding, graduation, or quiet moment of reflection, his presence is felt. Brad's legacy isn't defined by how he died, but by how he lived and what he created. He showed that honesty matters, that vulnerability can be powerful, and that music made from the heart never truly disappears. His voice remains, reminding us that moments matter and memories last.